Bitch, I'm whipping, gravy in the kitchen. Posted with your girlfriend, going berry picking. Yeah, I've been whipping, wrist like Scottie Pippen.
Just like last year, some of the information in this video may change over time, so some of the information in this video may not be valid in the next couple weeks or days or whatever, just because some of these films are still out and some of them are still making money. So just a little disclaimer there. So about a year ago, I made a video called Why the 2016 Summer Movie Season Sucked. I went in depth about why it was a disappointment on many levels, but I also said that I was pretty excited for the 2017 summer movie season, seeing as there were quite a few films that I was anticipating. Well, the 2017 summer movie season came and went, and it was actually pretty decent. Hell, 3 of my top 5 favorite films came out in the summer. Sure, we had big franchises like Spider-Man and Transformers, but we also had our fair share of original films like Baby Driver and The Big Sick. Like last year, I'm going to take a look at the big studios and how their films did, starting with Disney. Unlike last year where they had 5 major releases, they only had 3 this year. The first of those films was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, a film I enjoyed quite a bit. It received good reviews from critics, albeit not as good as its predecessor, and was a success at the box office, grossing $862 million on a $200 million budget. It was really no surprise the film made money, seeing as it was the film that really kicked off the summer movie season. Disney's next film came at the end of May, and that was Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man Tell No Tales, aka 50-year-olds prance around in pirate makeup so that they can get a paycheck. The film wasn't well received and grossed $791 million on a $230 million budget. However, the only reason the film made that much was because of the foreign market, where it made around $614 million, not even making its budget back domestically. Disney's final film of the summer was Cars 3, which received lukewarm reviews and was a modest box office success, grossing around $325 million. All in all, Disney had a so-so summer, but they didn't have any box office bombs like last year. Next up, we have 20th Century Fox, who had a mixed summer. Their first film released was the documentary about a whale in South America, Amy Schumer's new comedy, Snatched. It received mixed to negative reviews and barely made a profit, grossing $60 million on a budget of $42 million. Next up was Alien Covenant and Diary of a Wimpy Kid: The Long Haul, both of which were released on the same day. Diary of a Wimpy Kid received negative reviews and only just made its budget back and then some. Alien Covenant, on the other hand, received decent reviews and was a minor success, grossing $232 million on a budget of $97 million. However, this really wasn't the success Fox hoped for, seeing as the planned sequels are now up in the air. Fox also had a minor success on their hands with the animated film Captain Underpants, which received positive reviews and grossed $101 million on a $38 million budget. Their final film of the summer was War for the Planet of the Apes, a film that was critically acclaimed upon its release. Hell, it's my 3rd favorite film of the year so far. However, the film was only a modest box office success, grossing $359 million on a $150 million budget, much less than what its predecessor made. Fox only had a few box office successes, but they weren't major successes, with them just making their budgets back and then some. Universal had a decent summer, releasing only 3 films. Their first film, The Mummy, was negatively received, but was able to turn a modest profit, grossing $407 million on a $125 million budget. Granted, the film bombed domestically, grossing only $80 million. Seeing as it's supposed to be the start of a franchise, it's kinda disappointing, but we'll have to see what happens. Universal's biggest success was Despicable Me 3, which grossed $972 million on a budget of $80 million. I mean, we all knew this film was going to be a box office hit. Damn Minions. Universal's last film was the surprising hit Girls Trip, which grossed $120 million on a $19 million budget. The film was also positively received, something I and many others didn't see coming. All in all, Universal had a pretty successful summer. Sure, only one of their films was a real critical hit, but all of them made decent money. Paramount also released 3 films, but they weren't the successes the studio hoped they would be. They first released Baywatch, a remake of the TV show from the 90s. The film involved big names such as The Rock and Zac Efron, but the film was a bomb domestically, grossing $58 million on a budget of $69 million. However, thanks to overseas audiences, the film turned a minor profit, grossing just shy of $120 million for a worldwide total of $177 million. The film was also negatively received. Okay, side note, but can we stop doing comedic remakes of old TV shows? 21 Jump Street worked because it had talent behind and in front of the screen, but films like Baywatch and Chips have proved that just because you throw in recognizable actors and a million dick jokes per second doesn't mean your film is going to be good or turn a profit. The second film Paramount released was the 5th entry in the Transformers franchise. As most expected, the film received negative reviews, but what was shocking was the fact that the film didn't make nearly as much money as its predecessors. This one only grossed just over $600 million worldwide, with the film's success only due to what it made overseas. Domestically, the film bombed, grossing $130 million on a $217 million budget. Even overseas, the film made much less money than its predecessors, with the previous entry making over $800 million overseas. The past two films grossed over $1 billion, and this one proved that maybe people are tired with giant robots. Paramount's last film was an inconvenient sequel, Truth to Power, which was a modest success, grossing $3.5 million on a $1 million budget. But it was a documentary, so what do you expect? Even though they made some money, the films released by Paramount were all financial disappointments, with none of them really making their budget back domestically. Warner Bros. Had an alright summer. Films like Wonder Woman and Dunkirk were hits both critically and financially, and I thought both were two of the best films to come out this year. Warner also had modest successes with Annabelle Creation and Everything Everything, both of which made some decent money. However, Warner Bros. Had two bombs this summer. First was King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, which grossed $146 million on a $175 million budget. The second was The House, which grossed $33 million on a $40 million budget. Despite those two bombs, Warner had a pretty successful summer, putting out some quality films that made money. Now we have Sony. Now all Sony's releases turned a profit, their biggest release being Spider-Man Homecoming, which grossed $737 million on a $175 million budget. Their other big release of the summer was Baby Driver, my personal favorite film of the year. The film was a box office success, grossing $194 million on a $34 million budget. Sony also had the female-driven comedy Rough Night, which was a bit of a success, grossing $45 million on a $20 million budget. Sony also released The Dark Tower, a film that was poorly marketed and didn't make its budget back domestically. However, due to the foreign market, the film was able to make its budget back and then some, grossing $88 million on a $60 million budget. Lastly, Sony released The Death of Cinema as we know it, the Emoji Movie. The film was among one of the worst reviewed films of the year, but because it was based on emojis and little kids will see anything, it turned a bit of a profit, grossing $144 million on a $50 million budget. All of Sony's films turned a modest profit, but aside from Spider-Man and Baby Driver, it wasn't anything special. As far as smaller studios go, they're films that are alright at the box office. A24 released 3 major films, A Ghost Story, It Comes at Night, and Good Time. All these films were well received critically, and both A Ghost Story and It Comes at Night were modest box office successes. Amazon Studios had one of the biggest indies of the summer with The Big Sick, which grossed $46 million on a $5 million budget, and was critically acclaimed. Annapurna Studios had Detroit, which was well received critically, but was a box office bomb, grossing $16 million on a budget of $34 million. So after looking at the films from this summer, I definitely think it was a step up from 2016 quality-wise. Films like Baby Driver, Dunkirk, and War for the Planet of the Apes are my top 5 of the year, and films like Wonder Woman brought a fresh take on the superhero origin story. I also had some guilty pleasures like King Arthur. However, the problem with this summer is that the domestic ticket sales are just disappointing. Films like War for the Planet of the Apes and Transformers didn't make its budget back domestically, relying on the overseas market to make its budget back. However, there weren't really any mega bombs this year. We only had one with King Arthur. However, that was really it. We didn't have 2 mega bombs like in 2015 with Tomorrowland and Fantastic both opening in the summer. Also felt that the quality of the films increased this year. Hell, some of the films released I think are early Oscar contenders. Overall, even though the box office numbers weren't stellar, I still think that it's all about the quality of the film, and that's where this summer season delivered. Hey guys, thanks all again for watching this video. Put a lot of effort into it, and if you enjoyed it, just leave a comment on YouTube or go follow my Twitter page. Let me know how much you loved it over there. So yeah. This is the last video of the summer I will be making. Fun fact, I'm actually releasing it exactly a year after the 2016 one I did. So, I don't know, just a cool little tidbit there. But yeah, this is the last video of the summer. I go back to school in a couple days and just wanted to make one more video to cap off summer, you know. Next video, I don't know when it will be. I'm estimating probably sometime around October, but yeah, October-ish would be a safe estimate. So yeah, it may be a bit of a wait, but I'm sure it'll be worth it. That's really all I wanted to say here. If you enjoyed it, just like, comment, subscribe. I hope you did enjoy it. If you want to, go follow my Twitter at Mike_Torchic1. And that's basically it. Thanks all for watching this. See you later. Bye-bye.